Welcome to Smash Fiction, the podcast where we pit two or more fictional characters against each other in a battle of strength, or wits, or decidedly unsubtle phallic symbols, and see who would win. This week, Cloud Strife versus Siegfried Schtauffen versus Himura Kenshin. The Waystone Inn is about as busy as it ever gets, meaning that one of its several tables is occupied by the half-dozen or so middle-aged and elderly men that serve as its regulars. The red-haired bartender, having recently brought them a round of stew and cider, finds himself lost in his own thoughts as he ritualistically wipes down the surface of the mahogany bar for the 20th time that night. When his thoughts are inevitably interrupted, it isn't by one of the regulars, it's by the sound of the front door swinging open. The bartender spots a newcomer outside, the sunlight playing enticingly off of the floral pattern worked into his rainbow-colored armor before he steps inside. The man is undeniably gorgeous by any definition of the word, with long, flowing brown hair, golden eyes, and striking features. His hand rests casually upon the hilt of a longsword sheathed at his side. He walks to the bar, confidently but unhurriedly, and takes a stool, either unaware or unconcerned with the way the other patrons of the Waystone Inn gape openly at him. "Sir Knight," says the bartender in greeting, "you honor us with your presence. Can I get you a mug of ale or perhaps some wine?" "Thank you for your hospitality, but I won't be long," replies the armored figure. "You see, I am Loris Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers, and I have come far and wide in search of the blade they call Tōkijin." Sir Loris watches for the red-haired bartender's response, expecting either superstitious horror or utter ignorance. What he doesn't expect is for the bartender to sigh tiredly and pinch the bridge of his nose in exasperation. "Not another one," the bartender groans. Sir Loris is momentarily taken aback and flounders for something to say before the bartender produces a bottle of wine and a glass. He fills the glass and passes it to the knight before taking a long pull from the bottle himself. After a moment, he wipes his mouth at the back of his hand and begins to talk. "You're in the right place, more or less. The sword called Tōkijin is indeed located here, in a cave a few miles outside town to be exact. Used to be this town's little secret until some loud-mouthed merchant learned the truth and started blabbing about it everywhere. It's just a matter of time before the town gets overwhelmed by evil idiots who think they can use it to conquer the world or something. I am no such man," announces Sir Loris. "I have come to destroy the sword." "Sure you have," says the bartender. "Look, anyone who touches Tōkijin not only dies, but the sword then takes over your dead body and uses you like a puppet. The only way to destroy it is to have enough willpower and sense of self to overcome its evil power. If you can survive it, you can destroy it." "Such are the tales I have heard," Loris replies, "and I say to you now, I possess the willpower needed. From this day forward, I shall be known as he who removed the threat of this wicked weapon from the world. The bards will sing of my exploits." "Let's not jump to conclusions about what the bards are going to do," the bartender grumbles, taking another pull from his bottle. "You think you have the willpower you need to overcome that sword? There's already another guy on his way there right now. Kind of a small guy, red hair, carries a curved sword with a backwards blade, calls himself Himura Kenshin. Just from the look in his eye, I could tell that he had seen things in his time that forged his soul and his focus into a thing of steel. That's your competition here." Now quite worked up, Sir Loris stands and impulsively draws his sword. "Then I shall challenge him for the right to destroy the blade," he declares. "Behold my weapon. Blessed by the high septon of King's Landing and forged of Valyrian steel, it is sure to fell any opponent." "I wouldn't be so sure of that," responds the bartender, now looking at Sir Loris with no small degree of schadenfreude. Kenshin wasn't the only one heading to Tōkijin. There was another one, Siegfried. Big guy, blonde hair, armor kind of like yours but a bit more practical looking. His sword had to be almost 6 feet long and made of some kind of crystal. He called it the Soul Calibur, and this thing was just... The bartender looks pityingly at Sir Loris's sword, which somehow seems pathetic in comparison to the description of Soul Calibur, and Loris sheepishly returns the sword to its sheath. "Well," Loris begins, obviously grasping for anything, "I'm still incredibly attractive, right? That has to count for something." He looks at the bartender and almost visibly deflates at the redhead's expression. "There's a third guy heading up toward Tōkijin," says the bartender. "Cloud Strife. Huge spiky blonde hair you can see from across the town. Blue-green eyes that seem to glow from within. Oh, and his sword is just about as big as he is. The number of women and men who were falling all over for his attention as he came through the town, if he survives this whole ordeal, he's gonna have plenty of, friends if he decides to come back through this way. You ask me, the three of them are gonna meet in front of that cave and have it out. See which one of them is the best sword fighter, and therefore, which one has the best shot of going in and putting an end to that evil sword for good." Sir Loris sighs miserably and hunches over on a bar stool. You said something earlier about ale. Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy, Siegfried Schtauffen from the Soul series, Himura Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin. These three have taken a brief break from feeling guilty about their past or whatever, and have decided to destroy the evilest sword this side of Frostmourne. But which one will stand victorious over his rivals by the time this match is over? I don't know, I'm really more of a stage combat guy myself, so I, Dan Mulcairn, will be your judge this week. Advocating for Cloud Strife is Liz Logan.
Kit, you're gonna hate me. Kuraudu Sutoraifu.
Oh. No, you're doing great. Keep going.
That's it.
Kuraudu Strife.
Hi, I'm Liz.
Advocating for Siegfried Schtauffen is Megan Bob.
Let's do this, my unforgivable past.
Perfect.
Oh, I love how melodramatic Soul Calibur is.
Advocating for Himura Kenshin is Kit Mulcairn.
If you want an opponent, I'm here. Those who want to eat dirt may come.
To clarify, Cloud will not have access to materia for this match. This is a straight-up sword fight. In order to determine who goes first this week, I decided that before things get really violent, I'd have the advocates turn their swords to plowshares first and see who could raise the best crop on my farm. Kit got distracted by adorable gophers every time she went out to plant her crops, so she ended up with a big goose egg by the time harvest rolled around. Megan Bob ended with a sizable corn and soybean take, which also netted my farm a tidy subsidy in the process. But Liz, inspired by her character this week, planted a field of gyashal greens, so now I'm up to my neck in chocobos. Therefore, Liz will be going first, followed by Megan Bob, and then by Kit.
Why me first? Why?
Liz, this means you get to go last in the lightning round.
Oh, that's actually a good thing.
Team Cloud, it's your initiative.
Do you remember in middle school when you had that poor, tortured soul and you just couldn't find a way to express your feelings? Well, that's because inside a little slice of each of our souls is an emo, beautiful Japanese boy with an extremely large sword, with hair as tall as mountain peaks and basically as stiff, a tactical turtleneck that would make Archer blush, and a sword wider than his very, very small waistline. Cloud Strife is hot. I mean, the best fighter ever! Duh, did I mention he rides motorcycles? Because I just did. Having risen through soldier-ish type ranks, having gained tons of experience in all realms of fighting, and, a few personality changes later, Cloud is the most capable fighter in this pretty boy bunch by far. He's defeated enemies that include the essentially godlike Sephiroth, the godlike alien Genova, Colin, the skyscraper-sized Bahamut Sin, the evil corporation Shinra, and he's even put 3 poor Sephiroth wannabes out of their misery. He's a great guy. He loves the environment, loves justice, and loves his friends. What more could we ask for? We see him slicing weapons in half, cutting motorcycles in half. I'll forgive him. How his Ultima weapon is the strongest weapon in all of Gaia. Cloud is just so much more than a standard sword fighter. His moves and actions have great setups and incorporate all different types of attacks other than just the old sword swinging. The fact that he can hit enemies 15 times with automatic critical hits with Omnislash, use Meteor Rain to, rain meteors, Blade Beam for some ranged action, and Cross Slash if you'd like to paralyze one of them and then take on the other, his possibilities are endless and way more interesting than Siegfried or Kenshin's options. Besides the fact that he's enhanced with Mako, besides the fact that he has a choice between 3 awesome swords, the Buster Sword, the Ultima Weapon, and Fusion Swords, besides the fact that his emo-ness can make his enemies cringe to death, Cloud has learned the most important lesson of all, to not let anyone fuck with his family or friends. If this sword they're looking for, Tōkijin, is as powerful and as cursed as the stories Cloud has heard, there's no way in 7 Genovas he's letting anyone else get their hands on it. Who knows the kind of destruction or pain it could cause? And trust me, Cloud knows, because he's been stabbed by Masamune. I mean, he doesn't even know what Kenshin or Siegfried's intentions are, and that will inform his decision to kick the shit out of him lest someone destroy some small village again. Not only will Cloud go to great lengths to protect those whom he loves, but he also shows concern when the planet he lives on may be threatened. Again, he won't be letting anyone near that sword, and we're shown throughout his stories that his greatest strength comes from when someone either makes him mad or may be trying to hurt someone he loves. And frankly, even if Cloud doesn't get his hand on the sword Tōkijin first, he still wins. Cloud has one of the strongest wills in the world of video games, especially after he accepts his true self. Remember that after he defeated Sephiroth physically and essentially banished his mind back into the lifestream, Cloud still used his mind to enter the lifestream and defeat Sephiroth in a battle of will. I don't think Siegfried or Kenshin would be able to withstand the cruelty of Tōkijin and would ultimately succumb to its evil. Even if they do it in a dueling format, we know Cloud can survive stab wounds and wouldn't have a problem playing dead. He's done it before. I mean, look at what happened to Siegfried after going to a cursed sword with lots of power promised. He turned into an actual nightmare and basically almost died. And with Kenshin, the fact that he has made it his life mission to try to not kill anyone, it's going to backfire here. I have no doubt Cloud can make some clever quip and convince him, like Cloud's done with so many others, that he is on the soldier team, otherwise known as the Super Ordnance Lovely Disposal Improvised Emergency Response Team. Haha. And that he's got the means necessary to dispose of the cursed sword without hurting anyone. This would of course send Kenshin into a spiral of deep thought and would agree ultimately to Cloud's request. And finally, just think of all the damage that Cloud has been able to sustain and fight through, and either through subterfuge or will, eventually conquer in the end. He can fight amazingly well while concealing his geostigma plague affliction. He can be stabbed by the strongest person on his planet and then throw him into a pit. He can be genetically experimented on and survive. Cloud is so emotionally twisted that all the horrible things he's witnessed, all the horrible things he's felt, literally transform him into an entirely different persona that is even better at what he does than before. And, you know, he's really good at smashing, bashing, and swinging his sword at things. He does that a lot, too. Frankly, if Cloud is confronted by a less attractive Sephiroth with 50% less katana, or German male model number 5 with armor sourced from washing machines at Home Depot, he is going to buster stomp all over their much less pretty faces. Siegfried can go cry to his dad or something.
Wow.
I'm done.
Oh, that's cold, dude.
Yeah. My dad's dead.
Well, Liz, you definitely get bonus points for actually coming up with what the acronym SOLDIER stands for, which is more than Square Enix ever managed to do.
So good.
Nicely done, Team Cloud. I'll allow you the customary 4 seconds to conduct your Final Fantasy mandated victory dance. And we're on to the next advocate. Team Siegfried. The soul still burns.
Broad shoulders, intense brows, sparking green eyes that flash with righteous fury, waves of shimmering blonde hair worthy of a German shampoo commercial, firm lips that probably can't form a smile, the body of a petite god, if ever there was a petite god of muscle tone and having sweet armor. He's only wee, but don't let his size fool you. That just means he'll cut you off at the knees and then run you through with the sword. I know this isn't a prettiness contest, but guys, that hair. Just think about that hair for a second and picture him doing the perfect Elle Woods trademarked bend and snap. With that hair before he bends and then snaps his opponent's sword into like a twig. The weapon of his otherworldly beauty aside, there is his otherworldly sword and armor. That armor is made of wings, glory, and magic. That's right, the armor itself is magic. How magic? As balls. It is brought into being by his sword friend, Soul Calibur. You know, the sword the whole game franchise is named after? That sword. It's got a creepy face on it and is not to be trifled with because she is all about order and she is chaotic good incarnate. I don't know about your swords, but this sword is out to win even if it has to, you know, do creepy things. Soul Calibur is not impressed by your build-a-sword, Cloud, nor your inward-facing blade, Kenshin. Soul Calibur is symbiotic, and in gameplay grants Siegfried near infinite stamina, including upping health when he attacks, automatically guarding against some attacks, and automatically dodging some throw attacks. No one else in this fight comes to the table with weapons that are actively working in their favor. Soul Calibur makes him healthier when he uses it. It's like being fed vitamins every time you try to kill someone. She will make certain to fix your iron deficiency, though, by stabbing you. Callie can also make stabbing, well, I call her Callie. Callie can also make stabbing ice crystals, and I guess if you're dehydrated, that'll help too. One of the underestimated things in Siegfried's favor here is that he's utterly determined. He's not going to play head games, and he's not going to be distracted by anything other than fighting and winning, because atonement. More than that, the arc of both the other characters is one of learning to accept oneself and be honest. Siegfried's is being a whack job that becomes a different kind of whack job. How does this benefit him? Well, there's a lot to be said for having a one-track mind. And Siegfried's got a mind so one-track that he's managed to reform his gang of ne'er-do-wells. Siegfried, I quote, reformed the clan of thieves into a clan of mercenaries. Mercenaries that do nice things. First of all, do those actions sound like those of a guy who knows when to stop? No. They sound like the actions of someone so single-minded that he could get people to change their alignment. Secondly, does that sound like a guy that you want to mess with? Nope. When most of us leave our lives of crime behind, we don't then go back and get everyone to join the side of right. But that's the kind of guy he is. The kind that, for some reason, can bend reason past the breaking point and get away with it. I am sincerely impressed by all the character skills and credentials as warriors. It's undeniable that they're all some of the most skilled combatants imaginable. However, I question if they have melee fighting as their greatest strength. Soul Calibur is a fighting game, and that means that the story is probably not even secondary. It's more tertiary. Maybe quadrutiary. That's not a word. The only thing that matters is defeating your opponents. He fights numerous characters with so many different fighting styles and weapons. He might be a tank, but that doesn't mean he's not versatile. By the time he gets to Soul Calibur 5, he's got 25 horizontal attacks, 34 vertical attacks, 24 kicks, and then another 20 or so moves on top of that, including holds and throws. He's also well known in the game for having multiple stances that allow him to attack in ways that his opponents don't expect. In the game, he's beaten other giant weapon users like Astaroth and katana users like Yoshimitsu and Mitsurugi. He's seen weapons and fighting styles similar to what Cloud and Kenshin are bringing to the table, and he's already beaten them. They've never seen or fought someone like him. He's also 40 years old, and you don't get to live that long in the 1600s as a fighter without being damn good. Also, he's the only one here that's beaten Darth Vader and Yoda. That's right. He's gone up against Force users, magic users, big ol' sword users, dagger users, staff users, scimitar users, just a bunch of users, and beaten all of them. As the eerie glow in the cave... No, guys, this is really important. Shut up. As the eerie glow in the cave flickers in his eyes and glints off his armor, Cloud and Kenshin will be in awe of how utterly unreal he looks. Like an avenging angel come to earth. An unseen wind will waft through his luxurious hair, making the sound. Victory.
I'm okay with this.
That was gorgeous. Another skillful round of combat from Team Siegfried. And last but not least, Team Kenshin. You can die anytime. It's bullshitting that takes true courage.
Long hair, loosely tied back, and as red as the autumnal leaves that declare an oncoming cold, winter and folded steel. A kimono, varying in color from a cheery plum, a spring renewal, to the red shock of fresh blood. A scar, an X like a mark on past targets of the imperialists, but upon his face forever, a permanent reminder to himself and others of the consequences of our convictions. He is the Rurouni known as Kenshin. Formerly considered a Hitokiri, a manslayer, Kenshin was an assassin for the nationalist patriots during the turbulent Bakumatsu period. While only 15, Kenshin was so skilled in the devastating Hiten Mitsurugi style that he was often referred to as a Batosai, a master of the quick draw and considered undefeatable by most. Kenshin's style uses a combination of ridiculous speed and agility, quick draw, and, most underratedly, a practically clairvoyant ability to anticipate an opponent's movements through the keenest of observation. Kenshin is easily the fastest pretty boy in this fight. My dude had a cannonball shot at him, then sliced that bitch in half. My dude blocked a bullet with the guard of his sword. My dude had 6 bombs thrown at him at once, and he sliced the lit fuses off of all of them before the bombs hit the ground. Kenshin attacks and dodges at speeds not visible to the naked eye. When the also crazy fast Aoshi threw his kodachi at Kenshin's face, Kenshin knocked the first blade aside, saw that there was a second kodachi coming perfectly hidden behind the first, and I shit you not, this kodachi was less than a nose's length away from hitting him between the eyes, and he still dodges that! That's like some Quicksilver shit. And if you think someone with that level of speed is somehow still dodgeable, let me introduce you to the Kuzuryu-sen, a technique that targets all 9 directions of attack at once, cause manga bullshit. The only way to protect yourself from this attack is to perform it as well, but better. Part of what makes Kenshin so amazing at dodging and parrying is his ability to read attacks. He's so adept at knowing where an attack would hit, he can even read the path of a bullet. And he doesn't need to see his enemies to know that they're there and are sending an attack his way. Kenshin can sense negative emotions and intent, because martial arts and chi and shit, yeah. It's like a radiation-free spidey sense. What really makes Kenshin impressive, though, is how he combines his amazing perception with his creativity. Kenshin once misdirected an enemy by allowing them to parry his sword attack, then broke the guy's arm with his sheath. Dude didn't see that coming. Kenshin thinks outside the box and uses everything he's got. When fighting Aoshi, a man whose speed rivaled his and whose kodachi proved to be great shields, Kenshin held his own sword just above the hilt, completely ignoring the pain of his fingers being cut, in order to shorten its length and throw off Aoshi's ability to properly block. This gave Kenshin the opening to strike Aoshi in the throat with the hilt of his sword. Kenshin's small size hides his strength and endurance, and combined with his incredible skill, he destroys many an opponent's sword throughout the series as a way to end the fight peacefully. Like he do now, yeah. One sword in particular I'd like to mention is the Zanbato wielded by Sanosuke. This is a massive two-handed sword. I'm mentioning it because Kenshin's opponents in this match seem to think that bigger means better. Bad news, bebes. Massive swords are great when you're fighting against slow people in plate mail, because they're designed for, smashing through people. Who cares if your opponent's armored if you can break their bones, right? If you can hit them. Kenshin easily dodges this sloppy weapon, and to add insult to injury, during his fight with Sanosuke, he lands on the giant blade with such grace that Sano couldn't even tell Kenshin was there until he looked behind himself. He was then abruptly defeated by being hit no less than a shit ton of times in the span of a moment. But really, the main problem with those types of swords is not their slow swing speed, but how much they telegraph the wielder's next move. A major part of sword fighting, if you don't want to die, is being able to read how your opponent will attack you next so you can appropriately block or dodge. Two-handed swords make each incoming move so obvious for well-trained swordsmen that even if Kenshin didn't have near Spidey sense levels of perception, he would still be able to see your shit coming. And, if the judge will allow it, I propose that Kenshin need not even knock out his opponents to win. As a pacifist, Kenshin always wants to know why he's being challenged and tries to talk opponents out of the fight if he thinks there's good in them, which there certainly is in Cloud and Siegfried. They may assume the worst of Kenshin and each other when they meet, but Kenshin can sense people's intent. He'll know they mean ill will toward the sword, and will use that knowledge to find out if they can be convinced to just let him handle it. But if they prove too stubborn, he can distract them by manipulating their emotions during the conversation, like he does in his second fights with Aoshi and Sojiro. He has a way with words that gets to people. Lastly, Kenshin has the greatest motivation for winning this fight. Siegfried's motivations from Soul Caliburs 1 through 4 were to make up for the mistakes of thinking he could ever control an evil-ass sword, a mistake he is trying to make here again today. In Soul Calibur 5, he's like, here, rando Greek dude, you fucking take up the mantle, I guess. Yo sister, yo problem. Cloud's motivations come from wanting to do right by his friends, especially the ones he let die. Hardcore survivor's guilt, for sure. But unless Sephiroth comes back, he's basically happy now. Like, at the end of Having Children, he was, finally content. He's finally living a normal life, except for his twice-a-week ritual of masturbating to pictures of Aerith while crying, probably.
Canon.
Sorry.
Kenshin killed people for a cause that he believed was right. He killed his wife, accidentally. But instead of taking all that guilt and self-hate and turning it inward by committing seppuku, in the Japanese style, he realized the best way to repent would be to save as many lives as possible. In this scenario, he must be the one to take the evil sword, and he must destroy it. Not for any life in particular, but for every life. Because every life is sacred, including his own, as he eventually comes to believe. Because you can die at any time. It's living that takes real courage. That's how you say it, Dave. His strength of belief fueled his becoming the most infamous manslayer in all of Japan. Then his strength of belief fueled his becoming the legendary pacifist Rurouni. And his strength of belief will fuel his way through these overcompensating giant sword boys.
And with that, the opening arguments have come to a clinging, crashing, sparking end. The time has come now for the rebuttals. Because this is a three-way match, each character will have a few minutes in the spotlight, during which time their opponents are free to attack mercilessly. We will begin with Team Cloud. Hope you brought some elixirs because your opponents look ferocious.
Cloud is the best.
Fair point.
Okay.
Cloud is the best.
some-
He's greatest. No one has any points against him. Tremendous.
First of all, didn't you say... Okay, let me just say, you mentioned he has a strong will. Didn't he get enthralled by Sephi? So there's that. So much for strong
Yeah,
will.
dude, that was on a genetic basis, and that was taken care of well after Sephiroth was killed. And the fact that he was able to go back with that still kind of the thread of that and go into the live stream and defeat him with his will, he's able to overcome that.
The arc of his character seems to be, he goes from thinking that he's Sephiroth light, Diet Sephi, if you will, to realizing that it's okay for him to be kind of a sad emo boy who needs help. And that is his true power, is to realize that he's kind of sad.
Why is that a problem?
I mean, it's about self-acceptance. I get that that's why the game is great.
We all draw our strength from different places.
Oh man, that's beautiful. I'm going to put that on a pillow.
In this match, I'm going to just reiterate that this sword isn't actively trying to destroy the world, nor did it personally shish kebab his love. Or unrequited love, I guess.
It depends on how it went in the gold saucer, I guess.
When Cloud's getting beat down in this match, there won't be a Zack to pep talk him by reminding him that, like, you know,
Zack hasn't been around.
Kenshin and Siegfried, you know,
Zack hasn't been around for a long time. Cloud will still be able to realize that he needs to act quickly in order to save everyone. He doesn't need Zack. Zack's like there for like the first quarter of the game. Who cares?
He sure needed Zack in that Advent Children fight. He was getting his ass whooped by Sephi, and then, like, thank God he had that tender Zack moment.
Yeah,
well, Zack's really hot, but Zack's hotness,
yeah, I mean, I would like a tender Zack moment, but where's my Zack?
All of us want that.
He's drawn strength from his friends in multiple ways. Sometimes one of them is present.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's thinking about them. Sometimes he's having his personality disorder. He draws strength from different places.
That's really useful to have.
I did want to
just like Kenshin has to have a nice, good think about something sometimes. You know, like, oh, I gotta sit on the pot and think about this real quick. Okay, now I can go do something. Please don't tell me about thinking.
Kenshin's good thinks don't take minutes during the fight, because he's not gonna, like, have a Sephi just sitting there, like, staring down at him.
He's impressive, I will grant you. I saw Advent Children. He rode a motorcycle. It was all great. But he does not have that many opponents, and he doesn't have that much experience. Like, he has intense experience, I will grant you. I would say he doesn't have that much experience.
That is so totally patently false. Just because you watch Advent Children doesn't mean like, oh, okay, he took on 3 Sephiroth wannabes. That's all he takes on.
I also read some
That's
things.
not true. Okay, in Final Fantasy, like, in order to level up and to get, like, more limit breaks, you have to kill set number of enemies. Sometimes it's 250 enemies. Sometimes it goes up into the extreme 100s. You have to kill so many people to access your limit breaks, which are some of his most powerful moves, which are available to him here. So trust me, he's been around the block.
Okay, so
But are they, like, Goombas, or are they, like, you know...
No, they're fucking bosses!
Goombas. Let's talk about Cloud's really awesome move, Omni Slash. We get to see what this looks like in Advent Children as well. So we get, like, a better look of it than it's in the video game, the original video game, with shitty polygons. Omni Slash may be visually cool, but it's technically garbage. Like, Cloud's sword basically divides into 5 floaty swords, and then Cloud, one by one, grabs and attacks a stunned, stupid Sephiroth. Oh, Sephi, why? The way he just stands there and takes it makes it seem like he's paralyzed from the PTSD of the last time Cloud beat him with that attack. Look, Cloud does not move faster than Sight during this attack, and he's still attacking with one sword at a time, like Kenshin has repeatedly defeated rooms of people attacking him at once.
In the movie, please remember that Sephiroth is also a godlike being, godlike, and the fact that Cloud's hits with Omni Slash are automatic critical hits, they're gonna hurt.
If you can hit the person, which you won't be able to with Kenshin.
I mean, if you're not wearing magic
disagree.
armor.
All right, that is it for that first round. We move on now to Siegfried. I guess if all else fails, Liz and Kit can always just try for a ring out.
Okay, look, you mentioned the health gain thing. Yeah, Soul Calibur regenerates health, but that doesn't make its user unkillable or unknockoutable or unring-outable. Are we fighting in a Modi place, Dan?
In a Modi place?
In a place with a ring-out style? Because I hope so. Because, like, Siegfried can also just get his elbows broken, you know, if need be.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Kit's real quick. That whole healing thing with Soul Calibur is really just to get rid of any soul edge negative shit that's going on. It's not really meant as a self-sufficient thing. It's just supposed to balance out soul edge.
That was very powerful. I don't know, man. I don't take that many probiotics, but it seems to be working for him.
He easily has the slowest swing speed of any of the swordsmen here.
Even in the game.
It seems slow because you're so stunned by how beautiful it is.
And, like, all of his moves are kind of the same. I mean, there is that one, like, wrestling style move he does. But I just don't believe he's going to be able to catch either Kenshin or Cloud.
He has a very limited scope of movement as well.
I said many numbers of how many moves he has. I do not understand how fighting games work, but it looked all incredibly fighty and strong.
He has a lot of moves, but a lot of them revolve around, like kind of a 2D plane, you know what I'm saying? A lot of just some overhead and some lateral stuff. And he's not really used to moving anywhere that's not in a nice 12 by 12 square.
Well, I mean, how big is this cave that you're imagining? Like, what is this then? Are we doing parkour?
Well, Cloud and Kenshin will be, because they can jump vertically like ridiculous.
Why? How big is the cave then? I want to know. No dimensions were given to me prior to this.
For reference, this is actually taking place outside the cave, so there is plenty of room to move around in.
Well, I don't know. He'll probably just swing the sword, knock down all the trees, and like blow all y'all away with his amazingness. Yeah. And then Cloud will have to replant some trees.
And finally, we come to Kenshin. May I suggest beginning with making fun of his pink kimono?
It's only pink in some editions. Also, why would you make fun of men wearing pink?
Resorting.
I thought we already shat on him
resorting
too.
To sexist color arguments.
Yes, sexist color argument. More pink for everyone.
I don't like turn pink. Against the judge. No, that's a bad plan. Nope, Stan, you're very right.
All right. Everything Kenshin does is on a much smaller scale than Cloud. Like, the main issue in his story is that the government is being taken over or whatever, and he wants to stop, like, evil, corrupt people. Big whoop. Like, his biggest enemy is, like, a police officer. Oh my god. Meanwhile, Cloud has to stop the entire fucking planet from being destroyed. He has to stop this evil-ass corporation from taking over his town. He has to avenge his poor town being burned. He has to avenge all these people who are dead. He has to kill a godlike being, okay? And the other point you bring about, Cloud, he's got such a big sword. How's he going to swing it? Have you seen the way he swings that sword? It's basically a piece of cardboard, and it just cuts through the air, and he swings it so fast. He flies. He does everything. He's going to be running circles around Kenshin as well.
It does swing very fast, but it's a large sword, and so his moves are telegraphed. Kenshin can, like, split-second read what someone's about to do, dodge, parry, defeat. You said that Cloud does, like, everything that Kenshin does on a grander scale. Kenshin does everything more precisely. He does not waste his energy on unnecessary movements.
See, I disagree with you saying that the big sword telegraphs his movements. Well, if he's using his fusion sword and he's got the 5 smaller swords, he can do basically the same thing as Kenshin, where he kind of disguises his movements. You know how Kenshin sometimes will use his sheath instead of, like, drawing out his sword or something? Cloud could do the same thing with his swords. He could use one of the smaller swords, form it into a larger sword. How is Kenshin even supposed to know that would happen?
He can handle it. He can dodge it, or he can take the hit because he's very good at taking the occasional hit that does happen. And then he learns. He learns very quickly. He is the most adaptable fighter in this fight.
There's no evidence that he would be able to adapt to a weapon that changes like that. Meanwhile, Cloud actually has experience fighting against crazy katana men.
Siegfried's fought many, many quick, fasty people. Quick, fasty, swordy, pointy people, and done just fine. First of all, there's that. Secondly, you said he's, like, clairvoyant? I mean...
Practically.
Siegfried's got a lot of things going for him. I don't think having too many thoughts in his head is one of them. I do not think that there will be, like, anything to read. I think it will just be action, and that's it.
Compared to Kenshin, Mitsurugi and Yoshimitsu are slow-ass basic bitches. So that's about it for that. And as for Liz's point, damn, Kenshin fought some crazy-ass people. It is, like, fantasy realism up in that funkin' manga. Shishio is basically the mainest villain in that whole story. This motherfucker, he can make fire and explosions with his combination of gloves and swords. So don't tell me that Kenshin doesn't know how to react to crazy bullshit that is, like, new technologically to him.
Does your sword have a face on it?
It did when he was chopping up people's faces back in Bakumatsu.
No, does your sword on the regular stare people down with the icy glow of centuries-old feelings about bullshit? I'm just saying.
Well, I don't need to tell you that this match has become seriously epic. Our beautiful sword boys struggle for even the slightest advantage over each other. And their blades clash together again and again, first throwing off sparks, and then genuine lightning. You know, as in, lightning round!
Kenshin dodges
Sex movies!
Well, it turns out that all that unpredictable and destructive lightning has had some unpredictable and destructive effects on the surrounding environment. Several glowing bolts arc out, striking the nearby rocky mountain face. The ground trembles as huge chunks of stone are torn loose and roll down the mountain in a tremendous avalanche, mercilessly crushing our 3 swashbuckling heroes. There's no brooding your way out of this one. Your characters are now dead.
That's actually a good thing for our characters. Our characters are probably happy about that.
Oh, Kenshin's not. See, he's got shit to do. You fucking emo boy, stop trying to die. Dying is easy.
But of course, that doesn't mean this match is over. Your characters find themselves in hell. Specifically, in a large room with metal countertops, multiple ovens and stoves, and piles of cooking implements.
Wait, why is this bad?
This is not Japanese hell.
Before our heroes stands the devil himself, a middle-aged British man whose short hair is accentuated with frosted tips. He explains to them, inexplicably referring to them as donkeys throughout, that if they want a chance at escaping back to life, they must first endure Hell's Kitchen.
This is the lightning round from my dreams.
Okay, Dan, you scared me. I thought we were going to go against, like, Guy Fieri.
The game begins with the contestants preparing their signature dish, which must pass the devil's exacting standards. Then, the contestants will be put to work during dinner rush at Hell's busiest restaurant, preparing appetizers, entrees, and desserts for hundreds of guests. The devil then gives the contestants an opportunity to elect a rival chef for elimination. Once the elimination round has passed, the remaining contestants have the opportunity to design, decorate, and lead their own restaurant. Once all of these tasks have been fulfilled, the devil will select one lucky chef to escape back to Earth for a second shot at life, while the other 2 will be relegated to flipping burgers eternally under their new boss, Guy Fieri.
Oh no!
Truly, a punishment the likes of which Dante Alighieri was too timid to even contemplate. We are reversing this business like Kenshin's blade for the lightning round, so Team Kenshin will go first, then Team Siegfried, and finally, Team Cloud.
So Kenshin, he can do it. I believe in him. He's going to open up a hipster ramen shop. It's going to be lots of vegan and vegetarian cuisine, only fair trade ingredients. Super popular in those upscale coastal neighborhoods, you know.
In hell?
Yeah, he's going to, oh yeah. They have a coast. I mean, it's just a blood sea.
Man, even hell's getting gentrified nowadays.
The rent's so good.
I believe this is the only character in this match that has any, like, cooking skill that we see in any of their stuff. Like, Kenshin actually knows how to cook. I believe he mentions cooking eggplant in the anime. He doesn't cook in the manga, but he cooks in the anime. So yeah, main food dish, eggplant ramen. Unique, can't get that anywhere. I definitely never heard of it. I personally don't fucking like eggplant, but it's weird enough. It's a good signature dish. He'll be great, like fucking fantastic in the kitchen because super fast, super precise chopping, and effortless serving ability. Oh no, somebody bumps into him. He drops the thing, and then, he catches it again because his agility and acrobatics, just off the charts. I think the person who needs to be eliminated in this match, I'm sorry, Bob, but Siegfried. He's going to be knocking shit all over the place in his heavy-ass plate mail. He is not suited for a kitchen. And he doesn't tie his fucking hair back. Lots of angry customers about the blonde hairs in their food.
I mean, that could be from either of the other 2 competitors, to be honest.
Kenshin ties his hair back.
No, I was talking about Cloud.
Oh, Cloud. He does, I guess. It's gelled up to, like, infinity. I'm not really worried about Cloud's
That's
hair.
fair. All right, very good. Team Siegfried, what do you got for me?
Well, his signature dish, obviously, like Hassenpfeffer, because mom, you know.
Of course.
I mean, back whenever he had a mom, that would be a thing that she would make. And so he has a lot of skill with that. Also, hunting, it's the 1600s. You catch your own food. Rabbit, super easy to catch. They're small. You just grab one.
Have you tried catching a rabbit?
Well, I mean, I also don't live in the 1600s. I bet there were way more rabbits. I bet they're super grabbable. So working in the kitchen, I know everyone's going to be like, oh, he's so terrible. He's going to take the armor off because he's not a moron. And then whenever he takes it off, he's about 5'4". He's super tiny and slim. Like at his
Is that
biggest,
true?
he's 150. Yes.
He's 5'4"?
That's a weird height to put, like, a super German dude.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, that's not right.
No, he's incredibly tiny. At his biggest, I think he's 154 pounds. That's him at his biggest. He's an elfin sprightly man.
Oh yeah, she's right.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, it was a shock.
Weird.
Okay. So he will be just fine in the kitchen. I know you guys think of him as like big lunk man. No, think Gimli. But then take off the armor and then suddenly he's like magic cooking sprite. He'll be running around, like, getting underneath things, making sure everything's okay. And then also, whenever people don't do what he wants them to do, he's going to rally them and then turn them from, like, chaotic, evil chefs into chaotic good chefs. And they'll rally together to be mercenary chefs. Okay,
do you want to say that again?
Together. Nope, I don't.
I definitely didn't understand it.
I can't even believe I said it. I can't believe I said it this time. Oh, okay. So to be eliminated, obviously Cloud Strife. He lives in a post-apocalyptic world. He doesn't even know what the fuck a vegetable is. He doesn't know what food is. He's like, probably eats like paste or something. Anyway, so like, I don't want to be shaming you about your situation, but seriously, that's why he became an environmentalist, because he was sick of eating fucking Soylent Green.
That's probably true.
I want an apple. Okay. So for his restaurant, it's going to be a tavern. It's going to be super farm to table, which again, appealing to the hipster dynamic, but it's going to be farm to table, not because it's hipstery, but because that's the only way he knows how to do shit. He's going to be like, well, of course you use every part of the cow. Why the fuck do you have the cow if you're not going to do that? So he will bring in a couple of animals and then say, sit right down, patrons. And then he will bring out his sword and slaughter the animals in front of them.
Wow.
And then he will collect all the blood and use it to make like blood pudding and delicious things like that. And then the rest of it, he will sort of divide up into chops. And then he'll use he'll probably make a lot of stock. He's really into stock. He loves boiling a thing. But he's also super into like, he's like, well, you know, it's a weird part of a cow or a weird part of a sheep or a weird part of a bunny. I'm going to turn it into something different. So he's also going to be into molecular gastronomy. So he's going to turn things into things that they should not be. So he's going to be like, you know what this sandwich could be? It could be like a foam. Or you know what these pickled beets could be? They could be like a mist that you inhale. You know what this cocktail could be? Like just getting punched in the face, but with like a spritz of bitters. So these are going to be some of his priorities. So also super into desserts.
The man doesn't know about like mass transportation and like refrigeration of food, as you've pointed out. But he's practicing molecular gastronomy.
I mean, somebody left a kit and he read the instructions, or Soul Calibur read the instructions and told him about it.
Okay, wait, just to clarify.
I don't know why you're resisting this. This is canon.
I'm just making sure I'm picking up what you're putting down here.
I'll accept that, sure. So he kills the animals in front of his customers.
Yeah, it's dinner and a show.
And then the customers are instantly vegetarians and go eat at the store.
What? No way! This is hell! Are you kidding me? These are hell cows and hell sheep.
With
They're
hell
like
hearts and hell souls,
happy about this. I mean, no, the diners are happy about this.
That all sounds very delightful.
You should see his ganache. It's amazing.
Chef Cloud, what's on the menu?
Not much. Not much at all.
No vegetables.
Definitely not vegetables. So, you know, when you're in your college dorm room and you're like, oh, wow, I'm lazy. I only have like 25 cents. What do I eat? Eat noodles. Eat cup of noodles. And since Cloud doesn't know how to cook, doesn't know what a vegetable is, his signature dish is going to be called Emo Amen. Cup of noodles.
Noodle places. All right.
Nah, but see, these are sad noodles. These are when you want...
Yes, they are.
This is when you want to remember, like, the shittiest moments of your life in that cup of noodles. But Cloud personally serves all his guests that come in, and the main attraction of the dish is that while you eat those cup of noodles, you have a soul to commiserate with in Cloud, and he will talk with you and give you a one-on-one therapy sad noodle session. So
wow.
It's really taken off, and I mean, it is way more hipster than Kenshin's place, which is, you know, whatever.
Fucking hipster.
I mean, sometimes when Siegfried has like a fresh thing of eggs, he'll take an egg and hard boil it and like carve a sad face in it and put it in there.
Stealing from the other contestants.
Well, I mean, remember, this is sad. This is a sad place. Much sadness. But anyways, when he finally does land a job in a top restaurant, he's just going to cut out the middleman. You know, we're talking about Cloud's big sword. Well, his sword is now the fucking stove, okay? And the fact that it separates into 5 parts, he's gonna superheat that sword, and he's gonna use one part of that sword, and since it's his sword, he'll know exactly its weight, be able to chop really, really fast, place all the food onto the sword, and then also double as the waiter, bring in everyone's food to them, maybe kind of flinging his sword a little bit, and everyone's shit is delivered right in front of them, okay? He's gonna be the fastest chef, fastest server ever. Now, the contestant that needs to be eliminated is Siegfried by far, because he's going to be drunk off German beer, and he's going to insist on incorporating his sausage into everything, and that is open to interpretation.
Racist.
Who knows exactly what he means by that, okay? The design of his restaurant, which is going to be amazing, and there's going to be vegetables, because there's a nice little church he visits sometimes, because his restaurant is going to be called Iarisu, please come back to me.
Oh, gosh.
And he is going to harvest that little patch of church with his best buddy Tifa. And the only items on the menu are going to be flower salads.
Yeah, I was like, I think there's just flowers and grass in that garden.
Flower salads. And eventually, when they get some other, things growing and maybe steal a little bit more from Siegfried, there's going to be flower cakes.
Stop taking from my man.
And then eventually he's gonna sneak into Kenshin's ramen shop and use the toilet for live stream moonshine, and that's gonna be an item as well. And people are gonna get really drunk really fast, so that fulfills the purpose of having alcohol in your menu.
Do you know the toilet?
But it's more fun to use yours. And Tifa eventually Tifa's eventually gonna go crazy and it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough, but the flower salads really are spectacular.
Oh man.
The customers are gonna be pissing.
You put a Caesar dressing.
Hey, they did call it live stream.
All right.
I'm crying over here.
All right. There's been a lot of nonsense here tonight that I need to pick through, so I'm gonna go contemplate cherry blossoms or something while I decide which of you ridiculous people won here.
I can't breathe.
Guys, that was the greatest thing we've ever done. Ever.
I love how we're just shitting on Secret.
Oh.
Oh, my gut hurts. This is the most core workout I've gotten in a long time.
Dude,
Oh, just laugh.
Siegfried's my favorite character in Soul Calibur.
Oh no, Taki's my favorite character.
Voldo is also pretty great.
Oh, yeah. Loves Voldo to certain amounts. Yeah.
I mean, this will not surprise anyone. I was looking up fan fiction. It's not really my bag, this particular grouping, but it was all Cloud Sephiroth. That's all
yeah.
it is
Oh, dude.
Sephiroth going, "Oh, you will be mine," and then Cloud going, "I'm so sad. Please love me."
I give up. Do with me what you will.
Pretty much. Although I should say, for any fans listening, there's nothing wrong with you being into that pairing at all. I just did not expect it to be so predominant or prevalent or
Of
whatever.
course it is. Yeah.
They are all really, really beautiful. Although I have to say, so I watched Advent Children today.
Oh, it's so good.
It was like vacationing in the Uncanny Valley.
Oh, really?
Oh, I don't think it's that bad.
They all looked like dolls. And I'm going, you're all beautiful, flawless dolls, but you are still dolls.
I think they look unreal enough to not creep me out.
The eyes are just
I like
spoopy
eyes.
as fuck.
Nothing can creep me out eyes-wise after what BioWare does.
Oh
BioWare's
my
video
God.
game is fucking awful. God, isn't Advent Children fun? I mean, it's not the best movie, but it's so fun.
I guess I didn't get it, but I hadn't played the video game, so it kind of didn't have the same impact. But I was like, well, I can see why everybody wants to fuck Sephiroth.
Oh God, he's
Although I whenever I saw just a still, I was like, ooh, Laws is really hot, and then I saw him and I was like, no, never mind.
No, only Kadaj and Yazoo are hot.
I like Laws.
I don't know. The lunkhead boys are kind of I don't know. They seem dumb. They would carry your stuff.
Long hair, or I don't care. That's my philosophy.
Oh wow!
Except for
Dan.
Dan.
Poor
Dan.
Slicked back black hair. That's my only other thing.
Nice save.
But it's true.
You guys were all so smart and creative and passionate and gave such compelling reasons for why your character was singularly suited to handily beating the other characters. And I have to commend all three of you for really just standing by your beautiful sword boys today, because it was
we're all winning.
It was a real accomplishment of bullshit and nonsense.
The right choice, Dan.
That having been said, I think that it was clear that there's one person here who is going to be able to take on whatever the others dish out, and that person is Kenshin.
Yes! Yes!
Yeah.
Totally agree. Unless Cloud had magic. Let me put that out there.
Oh, obviously. Kenshin doesn't deal with, like, any magic beyond fire.
Yeah.
Fire bullshit. But,
Liz, your arguments about Cloud's weird sword stuff and all of his, like, semi-magical sword techniques were super compelling. And Megan Bob, all the arguments you made about how great Soul Calibur is, like, Kid had to do so much just to, like, get to the level that you guys were at. So, like...
And I did.
So, but you absolutely didn't make it easy on her, or on me for that matter, in trying to pick one out. But I do think that Kenshin wins this one.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
When I was refreshing my memory on what Cloud could do, I was like, oh, he might actually be a little tough. Now I have anxiety because I need to win this. Rurouni Kenshin is one of my favorite manga ever. The anime is okay. God, audience, if you haven't read the manga, please read it.
All right, let's give thanks, shall we?
Yes, let's give thanks. Hold hands.
Uh-huh.
Okay, over to Twitter.
Our father.
Liz, why are your hands so sweaty?
For all of our tweeters, thank you to Sharon Holden, Vander Turner, Neil Butler, Troidel, Rafael Medina, Florian, Cosplay Fiend, Jake the Fake Jake, I love that name, and the Fictional Females podcast for either tweeting about us or retweeting our episodes. Thank you so much. On Facebook, thank you to Neil Butler and Jeffrey Ketchum for sharing the Zoe versus Kara match. Thank you so much, guys. So, I mostly handle the Tumblr. Ha, who am I kidding? I'm the only one that handles the Tumblr. And I came across Little Kipapeo's post, or one of their reblogged posts. There's a rise in podcasts and audio storytelling, but, you know, every time there's a new art form, disabled people are kind of left wanting. If any of our, like, fans, like, have deaf friends or family members that they wish they could share this podcast with, we realize that you're out there, and we really would love for you to hear or not hear, but somehow get, I guess, a transcription of the podcast. We don't want you to feel like we are ignoring you. If we can one day have the means to have, like, the time to transcribe all of our podcasts, I would absolutely love to do that. So that's kind of all I wanted to put. I just want to put out there that, you know, I acknowledge you, and I realize that the deaf are not acknowledged enough in audio storytelling. If we did, like, computer transcriptions, like, the auto-generated captions are too awful to rely on. So it would have
especially with the nonsense that we talk about most of the time.
It would have to be human-edited captions, and that's what takes a ton of time. Like, hopefully one day we can do that for you, because I do want everyone to be able to take in our shows. I feel like it is doable, but that would have to become, like, a legit job.
Yeah,
and
that would be a job.
I would really like that to be a Patreon goal someday, but that would be a very high goal. And right now, we're just starting.
Yeah.
So get the support out. We want to be there for you guys.
Yeah.
We love that you love the stupid things we do.
Yes.
Thank you.
And speaking of that, we have a new iTunes review. This one comes to us from Overseer892. They give us 5 stars, and the title is absolutely amazing. The content of the review is short and sweet. It is simply fantastic. One of my favorite podcasts. You will not regret listening to it. That is all, and we thank you for it.
Yeah,
that was
you.
Heartily said, and we appreciate the sentiment.
Thanks, Overseer. What?
892.
892.
Yes,
yeah.
the 800th.
He's easily my favorite Overseer.
What do they oversee, I wonder?
I mean, it's probably secret.
Podcasts, yep.
Secret.
So thank you for joining us today for this particular episode of Nonsense Podcast.
Beautiful, beautiful sword boys.
Beautiful sword boys. Next week, we're going to be releasing the 17th episode of Extraordinary League. And then the week after that, our match is going to be one of different imaginary characters fighting each other. The match specifically between Doug Funny and Calvin. Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman and production assistant Sharon Holden, with logo design by Colin Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Hitman.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
All right, Kit, you can respond to that, and then I want to make sure that Megan Bob gets a chance to speak.
I have to think a little bit on that, so Megan Bob can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What's my character's name? Siegfried. There we go. I'm so floored by how handsome he is. I don't remember. His name's really not important.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
When the also crazy fast Aoshi threw his kodachi, too many Japanese words in an English sentence. It's a little bit much. Also, I'm drooling. Hold on. For more than one reason.
Yep. That first paragraph really got you worked up.
I should put these images away.